Round here, them guns get the last word.
So I thought I should break down some of the news that's been happening over the past couple of days and even a week or so. But first, what I want to do is clarify the record. I made a video in the past where I was talking about how Fatal Fury flopped. It sold horribly in Japan and the game was basically dead on arrival. That was a news article that went super viral and I reported on it. But that is not, in fact, true. There was a second news article that came out later and it clarified the whole thing. Fatal Fury City of Wolves ranked amongst the top best-selling games on Steam in April. Now, basically what this news article goes on to say is that, yes, it did sell not that well in Japan, but it placed in the best sales on Steam. Now, however, it still did not place on the top charts for PlayStation. We know Mortal Kombat is always hanging out there, Tekken's never there, Street Fighter never there, but it did do what the other games did. Street Fighter, Tekken 8, Mortal Kombat, when all those games released, it was in the gold section on Steam, top 12 release of the month. So Fatal Fury is there as well. Now, another thing I will say about this, you guys also heard the part of the story where it did so bad to where the top CEO stepped down. Yes, that person did step down, but they transitioned and switched to an advisory role. This is not being linked to Fatal Fury. It just happened at the same time. Now, for a deeper understanding of how successful this game really is, we're just gonna have to wait and see when the developers decide to say 1 million copies sold, 2 million copies sold, etc. Another thing that we have to talk about at the start is Mortal Kombat. In the same video, I also reported on how Mortal Kombat is basically over. And now we have official confirmation of this. We are hearing players' requests for continued game support of Mortal Kombat 1. And while we will continue to support Mortal Kombat 1 through balance adjustments and fixes, there will not be additional DLC characters or story chapters released from this point on. We understand this will be disappointing for fans, but our team at NetherRealm needs to shift focus to the next project in order to make the game as great as it could possibly be. Players are believing that this next game they're talking about is Injustice 3. We had a leak like 5 years ago that turned out to be 100% true. This came from Nvidia, and on there it said Injustice 3 Gods Will Fall was the title, but then we heard that Mortal Kombat pushed that game aside and then instead brought in Mortal Kombat for a quicker, faster release of that game because that's what Warner Bros. Wanted to do. We'll see whether or not they do Injustice 3, but going back to them just canceling this game in general, this is something that I stated already, so I won't make a big deal about, but players were really upset at Ed Boon for promising all these things and not delivering. Saying that you will support the game for years on end and as long as you can, but then you pull the plug on the game in less than a year and 8 months, that's kind of wild, bro. It's like you couldn't even go 2 years. Now, if we shift over and we talk about Tekken, something that I thought was really interesting, we already know this, but Tekken team, they removed 2 of their very good commentators, Rip and Spaghetti. A day or so before Combo Breaker began, they announced their commentary lineup, and on there was Rip, which had a lot of people excited. But Rip stepped in and says, "While I'm not commentating Tekken at Combo Breaker, I've been to every Combo Breaker except the first, so I'm extremely happy to be there for its 10th anniversary to try my hand at commentating some virtual fighter." The reason why this is so interesting is because the Tekken team pushed out one of their best commentators, and now their best commentator has moved over to the rival game. And depending on how this goes for him, and depending on what happens for the rest of the year 2025, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more commentators join him. The fact that we still don't know why these guys was removed, and even they don't know, is pretty crazy. That has to do a certain type of damage to the trust that you built up with the community, commentators, players, etc. But while we're on the topic of Combo Breaker, yes, Fahkumram will be revealed here. Fahkumram joins the roster as a 6th additional playable character. The gameplay trailer will be unveiled at Combo Breaker 2025, held from 5/24 to 5/26. Please look forward to further information. One thing that I will say about Fahkumram as well is that I'm kind of worried about what he will do in terms of how powerful he is. I mean, everyone is. I was watching Day 1 of Combo Breaker, and even the commentators were talking about how this guy was super powerful in Tekken 7. I feel like Tekken 8, we're already seeing a slow increase in the power of DLC characters, starting off with Eddie and Lydia, who are like C tier, B tierish. Heihachi was like A tierish. Clive was S tier, and then now Anna being the latest DLC, she's top 5 according to like Nee and Arslan and all those guys, right? right? So the DLC is getting stronger over time, and with Fakamon being the next guy entering in the worst environment for Tekken, what will that guy be able to do? Another topic that I think is important to bring up is how the developers are continuously banning accounts. It says people who intentionally disconnect, cheating, inappropriate skin, names, and messages. When I spoke to Dale, the game developer, he spoke about how when they're doing these massive bans, sometimes you will have false flags, meaning that people will get hit unintentionally. And it seems like we had a version of that on many occasions. You had Genghis Don who says, okay, so I don't know who to at, but my account keeps saying this. I've uninstalled, reinstalled, verified my local files, but it keeps thinking that I'm running some data. I've never even modded this game, and tags all three of the developers. And basically what you have here is an error message that says match feature has been suspended because of improper data has been detected. And this isn't the only person. There were other people who were also posting very similar messages where they can't play the game because the game is detecting some type of issues. Now, I can't speak to whether all these people are innocent or whether these people were guilty, but I think it is important to highlight what Dale was trying to say to us. This could be a false positive type of situation, meaning that the game has detected these guys are doing something wrong, but they're not actually doing something wrong. And if this is actually the case, how long will it take to revert this, to fix this? How widespread is this issue? This is just a cautionary tale of how difficult it is to accurately ban people. On the topic of cheating, someone was called out for boosting. It says, keep boosting Alex FG so I can report you. And as you see here, bro is fighting the same person over and over and over, and is basically 3-0ing them. So he's getting a lot of free points off of whoever this other account is, probably him. And he has won a total of 26-2. So it's a 92.86% win rate against this other guy, right? This person responds to the allegations. It says, I'm here to give a brief explanation of what happened regarding the boosting issue. I've never done this before, so with the exception of the situation that arose, I have previous experience with very different issues, but related to the situation, honestly, it was a mistake to do so. And I repeat, it was a moment of frustration due to the large number of hackers out there, but I know it wasn't a good decision, so I reiterate my own guilt. As a good player, I sincerely apologize, and I'm here to be present. I didn't want this situation to get out of hand, but learning from my mistakes always makes better players. I'm happy to use Eddie, and I've always loved playing him, so I'll keep improving and fighting with care and dedication. I don't know too much about this person, so I can't really judge whether or not they're being sincere or just trying to find the easy way out, but playing against yourself 26 times to get your wins back and blaming it on hackers, that's kind of a crazy situation, right? The final thing that I want to talk about is Tekken's ability to do good collaborations that the players look forward to. This mini arcade lever is their newest merch that they're trying to sell to players. You can see how small it is. Now, whether or not this actually works for Tekken, I mean, buy it and try it out. But I just highlight this because this brings up a bigger issue that people are having with Tekken, and it's how their merch is bad, their collaborations is bad, and what they're comparing it to is Street Fighter. You have a Monster Hunter collab where they put a Akuma skin into the game and also Chun-Li and Cammy skins into the game, and it looks absolutely amazing. Tekken has better battle passes and has a better shop and has a better customization overall, but Street Fighter is knocking it out of the park with their collaborations, and it sparked this debate about which game was better. And I posed this question on Twitter, which game has the better collabs? Tekken 8, you can see all of the different collaborations that they've done, and you also can see Street Fighter with some of the collaborations that they've done. There is some collaborations missing here, but the big boys are definitely there. We just highlight moments like these because it seems like Tekken is constantly falling behind in the collaboration category. Even Mortal Kombat has done Fortnite skins already, and it's like, bro,